Today on My World of Work, we're catching up with someone who has not only mastered her craft, but continues to redefine what passion, purpose, and transformation look like in the workplace. Shannon Munick is a transformation specialist whose journey is rooted in resilience, authenticity, and a deep belief in meaningful change. From studying law to carving her own unique path in the transformation space, Shannon has built a career that is as inspiring as it is impactful. This is our second time featuring her on Crony shows, but her first time on In Conversation, and we're excited to dive deeper into her world to learn more about her growth and the lessons she's gathered along the way. Uh, Shannon, welcome to In Conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure to be back on your platform. Like you said, this is the second time that I am having a conversation with you. So it is such an honor to be back. Thanks.
So, how have things been since we've last featured you on Crony shows?
A lot has happened. A lot has happened with this small girl over here, this small colored girl. A lot has happened. My goodness, my career has just grown in leaps and bounds. In a new role at the moment, but since we've last spoken as well, I was awarded with the Youth Employment Services 35, one of the 35 under 35 most successful YES alumni. So that was fantastic as well. There was a beautiful ceremony that happened. Yeah, and just a new role. I've been just working on my career, working on myself, and it's been nothing but amazing.
And I remember seeing your name on the top 35, and I was like, oh, you're doing wonderful things. So shout out to you.
Thank you.
So what's one personal win you are proud of from this year?
From this year, it definitely has been my new role. One thing about me is everything I set out to do or achieve, I do it. This new role was something that I said, this has to be my next move. In the transformation space, you've got consultants, you've got advisors, you have verification agencies, you've got technical signatories at verification agencies as well. And I just knew that for me, my next role would be basically an in-house sort of transformation manager role. And I can't believe I've actually done it. It's actually amazing to have achieved this new role for me. It was literally what I set out next for myself in my career. And yeah, I've achieved it. I've gotten here. So that definitely has been my big win for this year. Last year was definitely the Youth Employment Services alumni 35 under 35 sort of winning that achievement. That was also one of them last year. But yeah, I think everything I've set out for myself, I've achieved.
So would you say you've settled in your new role right now?
It's been interesting moving from consulting or advisory into a transformation manager role has been very interesting. It's been first and foremost very fulfilling. Like I said, it was definitely the next sort of move for me to make in my career, just get experience within an organization. I've worked with so many organizations in my career so far, and now actually just focusing on one organization, that organization also being a multinational, and having to really just build my business acumen. I think learning how these organizations translate ideas into economic value, seeing financial impact, driving growth, but also having compliance and transformation requirements has been very, very interesting. So I think I've settled in. I think I've done very well so far. It's only been about 3.5 months, but really so far so good. I would say the grass is definitely green on the other side for me.
So what would you say has been the biggest surprise about the role so far for you?
I would say for me, what biggest surprise and I think also biggest challenge is balancing the scales. When I say balancing the scales, it's like now being in an organization. That's why I spoke about business acumen earlier. It's like you have to learn how that specific organization operates, what their business strategy is, what their growth strategy is. And now you have to balance the scales between business imperative and also impact reporting for me. So I think balancing the scales has been very interesting because as much as I'm there to do my job and make sure that I'm obviously meeting the compliance requirements, there are so many other factors at play. It's budgets. It's being involved in budget discussions. It's being involved in the business strategy. What level does the business want to get to at a certain point? And what part does BE compliance play in that? So I think being in the advisory or consulting space, you can kind of lift your hands and say, look, that's your business. You need to see how you're going to get it right. But being on the other side is quite interesting in terms of balancing the scales and just trying to make sure that I'm meeting not only the compliance requirements, but also yeah, just meeting impact reporting requirements as well. So yeah, it's been very interesting and surprising, challenging, but again, I would just use the word fulfilling.
You studied both LL and LLB and completed a management development program in triple BEE. How did these academic choices shape the professional you are today?
I would say they both helped me to do three critical things, which is interpret the law, apply it to a situation, and argue with justification. So I think in law school, we learned a lot about how to understand that with any legislation, with any piece of legislation, we interpret it differently as individuals. You read a certain piece of legislation in a certain way, and I would read or interpret it in a certain way. But it's all about how you apply it and how you're able to argue with justification and evidence. And I think that has helped me a lot in my job, especially more so even on the advisory and consulting side, because you're always fighting for your clients. You're always fighting to make sure that if they've done the right thing, they get the points on their BE scorecard. So I think with these things, I would say these disciplines that I've learned in my academic background, I think it's helped me to apply those things, or I would say it's helped me to polish those skills in my day-to-day job. So yeah, it's definitely paid off.
So usually when a person completes their LLB, after getting their LLB, they do their articles, then do the board exam. Why did you choose to go a different route?
I just knew it wasn't what I wanted. I knew while studying law that I did not want to go into litigation. Therefore, I didn't waste my time or anybody else's time. I didn't want to waste a firm's time or any other sort of principle that I would be signed under a law firm. I just did not want to waste the time knowing that it wasn't what I wanted to do, number one, knowing it wasn't what I was passionate about, number two, and number three, I think I speak about this a lot in conversation to people, but I say it's so important to do a SWOT analysis of yourself. Know what your strengths are, your weaknesses are, opportunities and threats. For me, I don't necessarily like to argue. It's crazy. I
Yeah.
say that, but I don't like to argue. I don't like to argue. That's number one. Number two, I felt like it was everybody was doing it. And I wondered, were they doing it because they were passionate about it or because that is what we were told to do when we were in law school, or that is what we were told would be the route that you needed to take. And I just did a self introspection sort of activity and I said, this is not for me. I don't want to go into litigation. I knew I wanted to end up somehow in corporate. I didn't know where or what in corporate, but I knew that litigation was not for me. So for me, no regrets because I stayed true to who I was. I bet on myself. And also, I just like to say sometimes taking a different route doesn't mean you're taking an easier route. I think people think different means easier. It just it just means that you're not following the path that everybody else is going on, but doesn't mean that it's any less work that goes into your journey or your career development. So I just stayed true to myself and knew what I am capable of, and I knew that litigation was just not it for me.
So since you went the corporate side, does it mean you also had to maybe but again, get an internship, start with an internship, or you got a job straight away?
Look, what happened with me is very interesting. In my final year of law school, I didn't have many modules left. I think I only had like 3 modules left. And I was like, what am I going to do for the whole year? I can't just sit and study and focus on just 3 modules. I'm going to have so much time on my hands. What I could do is at least go and get some sort of work experience. So what I did is I actually started my job hunting in my last year of varsity, which I would suggest anybody as a not before you even become the graduate, before you even graduate, just start looking at what is out there in the spaces that you would like to go into. because it is so saturated, especially if you want to take the litigation route, firms and all of those things start doing the applications very early on in the year. If you are going to wait until you're done with your studies and wait until, okay, you're done and now only you want to look for a job or look for an opportunity, these fields are so saturated. So I would say just I think advise individuals to do what I did, which is in your final year, just start looking at job applications, look at learnerships, internship, apprenticeship programs, but again in the fields that you would like to go into, and start seeing if you can get your foot in the door there. What was nice for me is that I was actually looking at learnerships. I was looking at sort of interning at corporates, but I was actually blessed enough to find a job that was willing to give me the training on the job. So I started off as a junior BEE consultant. I knew nothing about BEE legislation. I knew nothing about transformation, but the organization was willing to provide the training literally on the job. And that's how I grew. And lucky for me, that was the route I took. And also, my first job was actually as a Yes Initiative candidate. So it was just everything just fell into place, and I would call myself lucky or blessed at that point. But my advice would definitely be for any individuals before you even graduate, look at what is out there, because the space is so saturated and so many individuals are unemployed. I think you need to just try and get a head start at whatever you want to do.
You mentioned that one of your first jobs were you were working as a junior BEE specialist. What's the difference between a BEE and a triple BEE?
There is no difference. So it's basically just the abbreviated version or a shorter version. So BEE is Black Economic Empowerment, and triple BEE is broad based Black Economic Empowerment. It's literally the same thing. They are just used interchangeably. It doesn't mean anything different. We just, I think, as BEE agents, or I would say consultants, advisors, transformation managers, we talk about it so much that it gets exhausting to say triple BE. So we just shorten it and call it BE. So there's no difference.
But also, for me, when I hear the word BEE, I I think of tenders.
That's interesting. I think, you know what? A lot of people don't know what, first and foremost, people don't know what BE is. Let's start there. They don't even know the definition of Black in terms of the legislation. They don't know that Black actually refers to a group of people. It refers to a group of demographics. The definition of Black in terms of the BE legislation is African, colored, or Indian South African citizens. I don't think a lot of people even know that definition. So if you don't know the definition, you don't know the intention of it, and then obviously in the news, and we see a lot of like mixed media sort of outlets reporting on BEE, and it's confusing because like one moment you'll hear of like the really good impactful things behind BEE, and then you'll hear of the really bad things and the loopholes that people have used and abused with BEE. So I think there are a lot of misconceptions about BEE. And funny enough, just I think a few weeks ago, and I've been in the industry for going on 7, 8 years, which is still very little compared to other people. But only a few weeks ago did I actually do a bit of research into the inception of BEE and the intention of BEE. And people would be so interested to find out what BEE was like before it was actually gazetted into legislation. I think a lot of people just need to go and read up on the history and the inception of BEE. This has got to do with Sanlam being one of the giant insurance companies at that point, starting sort of negotiations and discussions around BEE. And I think people will be very, very shocked and interested to learn about the history. And then I think it will also then fix these misconceptions that people have, that it's only about tendering, it's only about getting rich off of getting shares from organizations. But there are a lot of implications and laws and things that go into it that people really just need to understand. So yeah, I don't want to go into too much of that, but I'd really just ask people, and of course it's normal to have your misconceptions, but go and actually read up on the research, go and read up on the history of transformation and BE legislation. I think people will be very, very surprised.
Thank you for the explanation. It was a really good one. You've worked across consulting, advisory, verification, and now management. What are some of the biggest lessons each space taught you about transformation in South Africa?
Whoa. I would say in consulting, it was definitely understanding um, the business landscape that a lot of our organizations and entities are operating in. So it's very easy to give an organization a scorecard and tell them to be compliant and tell them this is what you are being measured on, this is what you need to do, this is how much money you need to spend, this is how many people you need to impact or how many lives of Black people you need to impact. But the how is very important. And I think what I have had to do in my career is go and have a lot of difficult conversations. So before you can tell any organization, any management, any executive team of an organization to be BEE compliant, you actually need to explain to them what BEE legislation is trying to obviously what the intention is. Yeah. What they really are trying to promote and encourage in our economy. And those conversations are not easy, right? Because there's a lot of
Yeah.
microaggressions that you're dealing with. There are still a lot of racially charged conversations that are difficult to have, and it's especially more difficult if you're not having it in a social setting, where I think in social settings we allow each other more opportunity to have opinions. In the professional space, those conversations are not very easy to have, because again, it's like people coming in with, this is our business imperative, how do we fit BE compliance and transformation compliance into how our business operates, or why is it even important in terms of our business operations? So I think what I've learned is across basically these are all of my roles that I've been in. So that's verification, consulting, advisory, and now in the transformation manager role. I think it's having those tough conversations, not being scared to speak up and against microaggressions, and also just educating people on BEE. Because if you better understand something and if you have knowledge about it, I think they are more willing to then implement it in their organizations. But if they just it goes back to your previous questions where you clearly just stated and honestly said, when I think of BEs, I think of tenders. So it's me coming into your space and explaining to you that that's not necessarily the case. This is what BE actually intends to do for our economy. This is how you get sort of marked on a scorecard, and this is what it means for your business. So it's sometimes just a lot of knowledge and skills transfer to encourage people to understand it better, and then they'll be more willing to apply it in the organization. So that's what I've learned, just having the tough conversations.
So, which roles do you think stretched you the most?
It was, I think, all of them, but I'll be honest. I'm going to be very honest and say I didn't enjoy verification much. I didn't enjoy it much. Auditing was not fun for me. I feel like it was less interaction with clients, because in essence, it's just like taking somebody's written a test and you're marking the test. And I didn't enjoy that much because you couldn't, I'm so passionate about transformation that if I see somebody is like, again, not understanding something or they're doing something wrong, I'm so passionate about wanting to explain to them the right way of doing things or looking at it from a different perspective to make it easier on their business. I couldn't do that in verification, because in verification, the legislation for BE is very clear. You cannot advise when you are in verification. So you can't be telling the client, oh, this is what you should be doing. Oh, do you know that you did this wrong? And now I can't give you points on your scorecard for it because you don't understand the interpretation behind legislation. So I would say I didn't enjoy verification much, but it was the foundation that I needed to make me a better consultant. And then I would say consulting challenged me more. Consulting really just made me, I obviously worked with so many clients across so many different sectors, both in the public and private sector. So I think it challenged me more because I did a lot of things scared. I used to walk into big boardrooms. I needed to have, like, again, these conversations about BE and race and racial demographics and how to meet targets on certain demographic groups, and also making it not seem like it's discriminatory. I had to really challenge myself to have those conversations. So I would say those two roles, I didn't enjoy one, but it was very important for me to have that foundational sort of grounding to make me a better consultant and advisor. And then I would say the advisory space exposed me more to what is actually going on, I think, in the private and public sector when it comes to BE compliance. And now here I am in this role, which I think all of it is now being applied because now I'm on the other side and I really understand what businesses go through when they think about BE compliance and how it's not necessarily that easy to just apply the scorecard. There's so many other factors to consider.
Earlier on, you mentioned that the first B on BEE means black, right? But it includes various different races. Do you feel that all the races in the BEE are well represented?
So the first B actually stands for broad-based Black economic empowerment. And by broad, that's exactly what it is referring to. It's like, first and foremost, it's broad in that we are trying to ensure that we are not narrowing down to a specific demographic group. And also, in it being broad, we are trying to use stats to have the backing for BEE legislation. So we've got a platform called Stats SA as in South Africa, and basically it is a platform that does all of our statistical research and brings all that data together and literally tells us what's happening in our country. So it tells us all of that information. It tells us this particular township or this particular place has limited resources in terms of water, electricity, also maybe could be basic education. Then it tells us in terms of our country, these are the statistics in terms of how many people are unemployed. It tells us these are the statistics of how many people are actually active in our economy. So they are either studying or they are working. So in essence, what I'm trying to get at is it tells us what the statistical sort of information or data is for us to know what is working in our economy and what's not. And it has been very clear. I think everybody knows that we have an extremely high rate of unemployment. And that speaks to what is the biggest group of unemployed people. And the biggest group of unemployed people are Black people, not only because they are the biggest group in terms of unemployed people, but because they are the most people in the country. So we take up most of the economic space. Okay. So it just makes sense that in order for us to have more employed individuals, more economic participants, we need to actually account for the greater demographic group. And that is the Black demographic group. So that is African, colored, Indian, South African citizens. I would say we, because I form part of that demographic group. We take up most of those demographic numbers in the country, yet we are the most unemployed individuals. So if we really want to fix our economy, it's all about really ensuring that those people are represented in the economy. And currently we don't see that. And I would say the intention of BEE legislation and transformation legislation at large, this is Employment Equity, Skills Development Act, all of these acts, I really think are trying to fix that, or at least decrease those numbers as much as possible. So if you ask me, are we represented enough? I would say no. Is the BEE legislation, all the regulatory sort of pieces of legislation trying to fix that? I would say yes. Do we still have a very far way to go? Absolutely. But again, it's all about really, it takes somebody like me who was mentored in the space and understanding what legislation is really trying to encourage and then really working at that. It takes one person to make the difference and continuing with that. So yeah, I would say my answer, I took the very long way around my answer, but my answer would be no, but that's what the legislation is actually trying to correct.
Does every organization in the country, every business in in the country have to comply with the BE?
The answer is no. BE compliance is not compulsory. And I think that blows my mind. That really, every time I say that, I think I have a little bit of a heart attack. So the answer to that is no. BE compliance is not compulsory. If I register a business today and I decide that I do not want to be BE compliant or I don't want to invest in BE compliance, it's as simple as I am not compliant. That's it. But if you want to be competitive in whatever industry it is that you are operating in and whatever sector it is that you are operating in, BE compliance is extremely imperative for that reason. It's imperative to have that competitive edge within whatever industry or sector you're operating in. It's also very important for you to show that you are a good corporate citizen. Okay, so being a good corporate citizen shows that you are trying to comply with all regulations, rules, legislations in this country. And that goes for your tax, that goes for your health and safety within your company, that goes for BE compliance, that goes for employment equity compliance. You just want to show that you are a good corporate citizen in this country, right? So I think, again, BE compliance is not compulsory, but you will see that in order to actually operate, be financially, I would say, sustainable as a business and have that competitive edge compared to other businesses that are BE compliant, you will realize that actually BE compliance is extremely imperative in our economy, especially in the private sector, also in government. If you would like to, then it comes to your point about tendering. If you'd like to tender, BE compliance is one of the biggest requirements for a tender. So if you want to operate in the private or public space, you will actually realize that BE compliance is extremely imperative for that.
Earlier on, you mentioned that you used to work with a lot of clients in various industries. What is one project or moment that reminds you why this work matters?
There are so many. I've taken a lot of my clients from literally having no idea what BEE even is. So being non-compliant to literally being a level 4, level 2. So the best BEE level compliance is a level 1. And to go from being non-compliant to being a level 4, level 2, level 1, first and foremost, you cannot do it without any financial investment. So a lot of my businesses, I've taken them through that journey of literally making the investment and believing that it will pay off. And I have seen what it's done for their businesses in terms of what just having a BE certificate or being BE compliant can do for their business in terms of just revenue streams for their business, and just increasing their revenue and income streams. So I'll just broaden it with that and say I've taken many clients from non-compliant to really good compliancy levels. But if I had to think of one situation or two situations, I think it's actually just seeing the lives that it impacts, just having my clients actually, when they invest in sort of learnerships, internship or apprenticeship programs, seeing them meet their learners, understanding their stories, hearing the stories of people that went from being unemployed to being given a learnership opportunity, being paid a stipend on that learnership. So that's also ensuring that somebody is able to be an economic participant and survive and live in this very difficult economy that we're currently in. And really just the impact reporting that I've seen. I think also just like now for my own organization, I've just implemented our learnership program. And the biggest challenge for me was fighting not to pay my learners minimum wage. I know it sounds crazy, but I think minimum wage is so little in this economy that we're currently in, which I think minimum wage is currently at 4,999 Rand for a 40-hour week, 40-hour working week. And when I think of 4,999 Rand, I think, my goodness, I need to put food on the table. I need to get to and from work. I need to be clothed. I need to have toiletries as an individual. I need to eat. I need to do all of these things. And when I think of that amount of money, I don't think that that's enough to sustain an individual, let alone a family. So I think I look at those kind of stories. I look at what I fought for just now with our own learnership and ensuring that my learners don't get paid minimum wage. They get paid much more than minimum wage. So
Yeah.
I almost doubled the stipend for my learners, bringing it close to almost 10,000 Rand, because I just believe that at the end of the day, um, we need to understand that behind transformation, there's people, and there's people's lives that you are trying to impact. So yes, there's a scorecard and you're trying to be compliant on it, but who are the lives that you are and you're impacting? So I think I've experienced a lot of stories. I'd be going on and on if I spoke about all of them, but that's just some of the good things I've experienced.
If a learner is getting 10K, that means there's money there in transformation.
Listen, first and foremost, I shouldn't be doing that. Now I've exposed my learners' salaries. But anyway, I had to, because again, I just think minimum wage is so little. And I think it's so important for organizations to really understand and see where their money is going. So I want to answer your question directly and say, yes, you cannot. I have yet to see an organization be BEE compliant without spending money. Okay, so that's number one. That's why there are these misconceptions. There's successes and there's misconceptions about BEE. Because in order to be BEE compliant, there's a scorecard that you are marked on. And in order to get the points or targets on that scorecard, you need to spend money. There's targets, and it's basically monetary value of targets. So that's where I think these misconceptions come in, because then, just like you said, people think that, oh my gosh, there's money in BE. Let me get into it so I can get a little piece of the pie. But it's actually for you to impact somebody else's life, not necessarily always your own. So I think, there's definitely is that I'm going to be honest and say, yes, there are millions, billions that is spent on BEE deals when you're talking ownership. There's millions that's spent on BEE when you talk about skills development. And again, you see this is where it becomes interesting, because I fight for a specific sort of, I fight for a specific, I would say application that I want. And for me, that was making sure that my learners don't get paid minimum wage. They get paid much more than that. But the next entity would say, we've got budget restraints that we need to think of. So we're going to pay minimum wage. So the next business will definitely pay their learners the 4,999 as minimum wage, or not even. Some learners don't get what we call as a stipend. So with a stipend, you don't
Yeah.
necessarily have to pay minimum wage. I just saw a learnership where the government, this was a government organization, and I'm not going to name and shame because I don't want to get into trouble, but they paid their learners
Yeah.
2,500 Rand. So how do you live on 2,500 Rand? Number one, majority of learners don't have vehicles. You're using public transport. How is that possible that you give a learner a stipend of 2,500 Rand and expect them to get to and from work or the institution, the educational institution? You expect them to eat. You expect them to be clothed. You expect them to operate at their best capacity every single day, not knowing that 2,500 Rand is basically extremely minimal in this economy to operate as a normal individual. But those are just the situations where I'm trying to say to you that also how you use your money with BEE sort of targets is very important. And there's somebody like me that really wants to fight for the best for somebody's life. And there's another organization that would say, we just want to be compliant and we're going to do the bare minimum that gets us to compliancy. So, we might just consider minimum wage. So yes, there is money in BEE, but it can definitely be used for good, and it can also be used, for a lot of what we call fronting in our space, and it's just not pleasant.
Earlier on, you mentioned that impactful reporting is extremely fulfilling. What does meaningful impact look like to you in your day-to-day?
I would say it's about, first and foremost, doing your due
Hello, Shannon.
diligence as an organization.
Ah,
Know where your
thank
money is
you.
going. Okay. And this is something that my law degree taught me. There's something called the burden of proof. The burden of proof. And the burden of proof is,
I
in
can like it.
any case, for example, if you are the plaintiff, if you are bringing the case forward and I am saying, Tsepiso, you have done something to me and I want the law to hold you accountable for what you've done to me. The burden of proof is on me to prove that you have done something to me.
You've mentioned earlier on that impact reporting is extremely fulfilling. What does meaningful impact look like to you in your day-to-day work?
Okay, so meaningful impact looks like organizations first and foremost doing their due diligence. So vetting is very important in our industry. Vetting your beneficiaries, vetting people, vetting documents, just making sure you're doing things the right way, because our industry is very evidence based. When you go for your BEE audit, in order to be considered BEE compliant, it's all based on evidence. So I would say due diligence is very important. And what that looks like is organizations putting in anti-fronting policies in their organization. So I would say look into procurement policies that don't allow for fronting practices. Look into your employment equity. It starts in your organizations. Look into your employment equity. Are you placing people fairly in terms of managerial positions or management categories? What does that look like in terms of being compliant with employment equity laws, especially now? Because employment equity legislation has also gone through a huge transition, with sectorial targets now being fully gazetted and in place, and clients and entities having to be compliant with that. So I would say due diligence and impact reporting. So it's like, a certain amount of money is going to a specific service provider, especially like under skills development. We work with a lot of accredited service providers. But who are the people behind what you are paying for? It's like, know the people, know. So, like, again, I'll just go back to speaking about my own learnership. I've just implemented my company's learnership for our financial period for 2025. But next week, I'm going to the service provider's premises. I'm doing a site visit. I want to see my learners. I want to see who they are. I want to see that they are being accommodated, treated well. I want to see what they are learning. I want to see the site that I have invested millions in on behalf of my company, to know that this is true impact. I want to see those people. I know I spent, for example, 2 million rand on this learnership, but who are the people that are benefiting from it? Who are the people that I fought for not to get paid minimum wage? So that's what impact reporting looks like to me, is know the stories of the individuals behind these, I would say, payments or investments that you're making, because you don't want to be an organization that gets caught in fronting allegations, and you as an organization are going to lift your hands and say you have no idea how it happened, because the burden of proof is on you as the organization to show that you've taken the steps to mitigate as much risk as possible. So that's what it looks like to me. Just making sure there's anti-fronting policies in place, making sure that you know where your money is gone, and really knowing the people behind where your investment is going.
So for an organization to stay compliant, do you think they need to have someone within the organization or a department for BEE, or is it something that needs to be outsourced?
Both would work. Both would work, as long as you are doing something about it, as long as you're not going into it blindly, as long as you're not going into it ignorantly, as long as you're not going into it with these misconceptions that are out there about BEE. And the only way to do that is to actually have somebody in your organization that actually knows the BEE legislation, stands by it. And when I say stands by it, is passionate about it and believes in it, and really knows the legislation and how to apply it. So I would say both, hey, both. If you can outsource it, there are so many consulting and advisory firms that also would really like to do things the right way, that really do have the people that know that have the knowledge and know the legislation and know how to apply it. But even better if you can get somebody in-house or internally to deal with it and set up a BEE department internally. Because yes, in most organizations, you would find that it actually, because of how large the organization is or the scale that the organization operates on, you would actually need a department, because you'd need a learning and development team. You'd need an enterprise and supply development team. You'd need a team that deals with socioeconomic development and CSI initiatives. Management control. A lot of organizations just upskill their HR departments, but they do form part of BEE compliance. So I would say either would work for you as an organization. It depends on your needs and how you operate and what scale you're operating on as a business. But I would say that just do not go into it blindly, and just think, oh my gosh, we're just going to work on the scorecard and think we know the legislation and apply it as best as we know how. The chances are you'll get to your audit and you'll be very non-compliant. So I would advise individuals to just have that advisory services just to guide them along the way.
So with AI being on the rise, do you feel that it might start replacing the work that you guys do?
It's so scary to think of it, and I think we do have to think of it. It would be very silly of us not to think of it, because AI is so efficient, it is so effective, it makes jobs easier. It replaces jobs. If this computer can just tell you what to do, why do you need a person to do it? So a lot of the times I do think about that. But even me, in me using AI sometimes to just make things make sense for me in my job and in my reporting structures and how I want to get a message across, I would say AI fails in terms of lacking literally that human aspect of it. That human aspect of it is having the passion for it, speaking from a place of understanding and speaking from a place of experience. I would say AI lacks that aspect of it, because it's just literally going to a saying that we had at my previous place of employment was, in every system that you work with, it's trash in, trash out. Um if you put uh I would say data into a system and you expect it to give you a certain result, what you've put in, what you've prompted it to give you is exactly what it's going to give you. Legislation. So it really does miss that human aspect that is important in transformation. So I would say the fear is there because it's real. AI is real. It's efficient. It's effective, but it lacks that element of being able to help people relate and understand transformation and be legislation better. So yeah.
So are there any parts of your job where AI has helped rather than threatened? And what are they?
Definitely. Definitely in my reporting. So, with me working for a multinational at the moment, you are obviously bound by how they do things in that specific country. So, currently, I'm working for a Chinese organization, Chinese owned brand or organization. And in my job of right now, I have to do a lot of explaining and I have to do a lot of reporting because they don't have BE legislation in China, right? So I think AI has helped me to better just sometimes I think you can obviously tell from even this conversation. I can explain a lot and I can talk a lot because I want to be clear in how I come across, or I want to make my point clear. But sometimes you just need to summarize things. You need to get to a concise point. You need to just get to the facts and bring your point across very clearly. And I think AI has helped me in my reporting. Also, having reporting structures in place and having to report to Dubai, having to report to China, and they don't necessarily understand BE legislation, what it is for, why we need to spend the money. Sometimes AI reporting just helps me narrow down my thinking, get to the point, make it efficient, effective, and help with that sort of, I wouldn't say it's a language barrier, but just help with that explaining a little bit better and help. Sometimes, especially when it comes to executive reporting, executives don't have time to sit and read a 500-page document. I think
Yeah.
AI has helped me just to narrow down my thinking and my explaining a little bit better.
So AI does help. It's a good thing, Mas, that we have AI.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because sometimes you want to say something, but it's like me. I know, like I'm saying now, I'm very long winded. Sometimes AI just helps you get straight to the point. And it's helped me a lot with that because I've learned that if I were to really do a report how I want to do it, it would be 779 pages, for example, where AI is going to help me bring it down to one page and get the point across very clearly. So, yeah.
If you can write the 700-page document, that means your English is very good, Mas. You are well equipped.
I would hope so. I would hope so.
You work in a you work in a high pressure, compliance driven environment. How do you maintain balance between your job and your personal well being?
My goodness. Sure. That's very interesting because that's something I've struggled with in the past.
Yeah.
I've had to learn that burnout doesn't get rewarded. Burnout, I need to say this loud and clear to people. Burnout does not get rewarded. So sometimes we need to just understand the difference between hard work, because hard work will definitely be rewarded. Burnout, not so much. And I've had to tell myself this very simple thing. I'm not a heart surgeon. So
Yeah.
if I miss a deadline, if something is a little bit late, if if I can't do it today but I can fit it in tomorrow, nobody's gonna die. I'm not a heart surgeon. And it's difficult because I had to learn that the hard way, literally getting sick to the point of getting sick and missing out a lot of life experiences, family things, and realizing that no, it's not worth it. Whatever you're dealing with will still be there. So learn to control what you can and don't focus on what you can't. Prioritize what's important to you. So speaking to just answering your question, for me, what's important is I've learned that burnout does not get rewarded. So I definitely prioritize rest. That's number one. Number two, I prioritize my health. So going to the gym, eating healthy I think what we don't realize is that when we are in stressful environments, and we are working on time sensitive projects, especially with BEE, because it's very, very time sensitive and it's deadline driven, and what's important to the next person must all of a sudden be important to you as well. You don't realize the decisions you make when you're in those sort of circumstances. So watch what you eat. It's as simple as just watching what you eat. It's as simple as remembering to drink water. It's as simple as making the time to go to the gym, making the time to spend time with your family. Don't miss your family things, like certain family gatherings, birthdays, graduations, and stuff like that, because those times literally pass you by. They go and you'll be focused on work. And at the end of the day, the work will get done anyway. So I would just say that's how I prioritize. Yeah, just find that balance. Work life balance is important. Burnout does not get rewarded. So that's just what I tell myself on a daily basis.
You mentioned that you must watch what you eat. Does it mean you don't eat junk food, you don't eat fast food?
Listen, let me tell you a story about myself. You're going into the personal thing. You're going into the personal space of things now. I have struggled with my weight my whole life. Okay. I've struggled
Okay.
with my weight my whole entire life. And it's been a mental struggle, emotional struggle. And then when I started working, it got worse. It got
Really?
worse. And because of just also not knowing how to deal with stress in the work environment. Yeah, my health just took a turn for the worst. And at some point, I decided it was enough. And yeah, at some point, I think this was 2 years ago, I decided this is not it. I lost 25 kgs. It's an on and off thing. I'm still trying to balance this weight management and healthy lifestyle and wellness thing. It's a struggle. But yes, I now prioritize sleep. I prioritize the gym. I don't care what my day looks like. I have to go to the gym at least maybe 3 to 4 times a week because it's also a stress reliever. I prioritize drinking water at work. How I do that is I have a 2 liter bottle there at my desk and I stare at it and it stares at me back and then I must drink it. So I'm just trying to be healthy because I've been at the point where my health was really it was terrible, and all because of just not eating well, gaining a huge amount of weight, being unhealthy as an individual, and it wasn't a good quality of life. And here is something very interesting about me. People who know me will know this. I have this saying that first and foremost, I dress up for work, right? So I don't
Yeah.
care if my environment is casual, smart casual. Like currently in my current company, they dress very smart casual. It's jeans and t-shirts, flats, and I dress up for work. I am in full corporate attire Monday to Thursday. Friday is the only day where I take it smart casual. And my saying is, don't look like your problems. And for
Yeah.
me,
True.
If I look good, I feel good. If I feel good, I feel more capable. I feel like I can better handle the day. So that's another thing for me. Just like, please, guys, let's not go through this life looking like our problems. Just feel good about yourself. And I think then you feel like you are more capable of handling the challenges that come with your day. So that's my motto. Everybody says to me, because from my first job up until today, no matter the environment, even if all my environments have been like not super corporate, but I dress up because I maintain I just will not look like my problems. But that has gotten me to the point where I am today, where I think that confidence has like made me feel more equipped to handle things. So yeah, please, if I can just say that one thing, as people, we should not look like our problems. Yeah.
Based on your Instagram feed, you look quite amazing. I didn't even know you were going through a weightless chain. You look amazing.
Really? Thank
Yes.
you. I appreciate that. That is such a beautiful compliment. That makes me smile. I always tell people this, right? Don't tell me I'm beautiful, but if you tell me I'm skinny or I'm thin and I look nice, that's like you telling me I'm beautiful. I'll take it. That's like telling me I'm Beyonce. I've made it in life because I think that was my biggest insecurity is, yeah, I think it really was a very big insecurity. How I look, I take a lot of pride in how I look because majority of my life, I was extremely insecure. And I said, that version of me is not healthy. She's not happy. I need to work on a happy, healthy version of me. And that's where the confidence comes from in terms of just taking a lot of pride in what I look like. And yeah, thank you. That's such a big compliment because it was the biggest struggle of my life was just being an insecure, shy girl. But now I think I'm faking that confidence because I need to feel good about myself, really. I don't care what anybody else feels. I need to feel good about myself.
I bet now you're no longer shy.
I am actually. You know that. I am still a very shy girl. I'm just like, I'm fighting my way through it. Like, I'm actually a very, very shy person. And even in social settings, like when I go to things where it's like networking and stuff, do you know that chances are you're going to find me standing in a corner, minding my business?
But you don't sound shy. You don't sound shy.
Because you have to. Listen, you know what? Funny enough, just a few days ago, I saw a video where it says shy people are poor people. If you
Yeah.
don't speak up and fight for the life that you want in this world here, you're going to live with nothing. Shy people are poor people, and I can be anything but poor. So I have to fake it through this shyness, okay? Because I think my lifestyle doesn't allow for me to be poor. I have to have money and I have to just be proud of myself. So yeah, I fight through being a bit of an introvert because I think, yeah, it's just like I need to be a better person. That's all I'm worried about. Is just, Shannon, are you a better person from, let's say, yesterday? If you've made a mistake yesterday, have you fixed yourself more than anything? Have you fixed what you did wrong? Every day I wake up, my intention is to go into the world with kindness. Everything else will follow. So that's just me.
So, you've overcome personal challenges from childhood to early career setbacks. In moments when work gets overwhelming, what keeps you grounded?
My resilience. I keep going. I keep going. I
Yeah.
always tell myself through everything that I'm going through, I'm not gonna die. That's the motto for me. My resilience. I do everything, and majority of the things I've done in my life, you'll be so shocked. Majority of the things I've done, achieved, gone through, I've gone through it scared, but I've gone through it. I always tell myself, like, resilience is so important. The moment you give up on yourself, then you just forget about everything else. Like the moment you count yourself out, if you tell yourself this life is not meant for me, I am not meant to drive this car. I am not meant to live in this suburb. I can't see myself having this job. I can't see. Well, then you can't because you've counted yourself out. Resilience is so important. Bet on yourself. Bet on yourself. I can't emphasize it enough. And do the thing scared. Again, shy people are poor people. You're going to be shy and you're not going to speak up about something, and the chance and the opportunity is going to pass you by. So I think what I have really taught myself and what I've fought through is this shyness, this being reserved, this not wanting to speak up, this not wanting to say things, this not wanting to be in the room because I feel like I don't belong. No, 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 no. I've changed that perspective. I belong in the room with executives. I belong in the room with celebrities. I deserve to drive that car. I mean, when I was my previous job, I said to myself, so when my mom was taking me through school, fine, and then varsity, and then I took her old car. And then when I bought my first car, I literally manifested buying my dream car. I don't know. I would walk past the car and I would go around touching strangers' cars and I would say, this car is my dream car. I'm going to buy it one day. And I did it. Okay. So it sounds crazy, but if you think and you tell yourself that you can't do something or you don't deserve to have something or you don't foresee yourself getting to a certain place or having a certain thing, then you will not do it. If you tell yourself, I'm going to drive that car, I'm going to live in this place, I'm going to have this job. I manifested my current job. I said, I'm going to be a transformation manager one day. How? I don't know. I'm like a baby in the game. If you hear about how long people have been in transformation, one of my mentors have been in transformation more than half of the time I've been alive, over 10,
Yeah.
I think 15 years. I'm a baby. Who am I to think that one day I would get there? But I did it. Just be resilient as an individual and just bet on yourself. Don't count yourself out. Also, what's very important is if you don't believe in yourself, do not expect anybody else to believe in you. So if you
True.
go for these interviews in these really big jobs and you don't even have confidence in yourself to speak with conviction, to tell them you can change things in their organization, for them to have confidence in you, well then, listen, just go about life being an ordinary person that has an ordinary salary, that doesn't have nice things in life because you don't believe in yourself. Resilience. I think I'll just sum it up and say I've been very resilient. I have not given up on myself, and that's gotten me where I am today.
You are hitting me with motivation. I'm
I
motivated now.
should, because the next time I do this podcast, you are going
Yeah.
to have, first and foremost, you're going to have a set. We're going to be on your set, and you're going to
Yes.
have a team, and we are going to be on camera, and you're going to be known as one of the best sort of podcasters or interviewers in this space. So the next time we have this conversation, or when you bring me back, I need to be welcome Shannon back that spoke this over my life, and look at where we are today. Thank you.
Yo, the pressure. So if you don't mind sharing, what was your dream car?
Oh, it was okay. So my dream car, my dream brand was a Mercedes, right? I always said I'm going to drive a Mercedes, but it was an A250, an A250. Yeah. Yeah. I'm saying that right. A250, the sports one, four pipe one and everything. But when I obviously was working, it just didn't make sense. So I ended up purchasing a Mercedes-Benz A200. Yeah. She's my baby.
Mm.
She was my baby because now she's gone. We move on in life. Sometimes you must also realize you must say, been there, done that, and you must let go of things. So yeah, I purchased my dream car. Yeah, but just showing people, and at 30, purchasing my dream car at 30 is crazy. No, this was even at 20. My goodness, I purchased my dream car at 27.
Ooh, a German
Yeah,
car,
at 20.
not just any
A
car, a German.
German beast at 27, coming from a single parent household.
Yeah.
I listen, it was crazy. I couldn't believe that I did it. But it's not about the car. It's just about believing that whatever you want for yourself, you deserve it. You can do it. You deserve it. Tomorrow they see you driving a Picanto and you say, guys, I'm driving a Picanto today. Tomorrow when I pull up here
In a Porsche.
in an in a Porsche, and latest number. I don't want to hear anything from you guys because you guys counted me out. But you must not count yourself out. That's all. That's all it is about this life thing.
So for a young graduate interested in the triple BEE and transformation space, where should they start?
But that's very interesting. I get a lot of DMs about this. I get a lot of DMs about this. And it's a little bit of a difficult question for me to answer because there aren't like really a lot of like learnership programs or internship programs within the BEE space. I always say to them, first and foremost, if you want to just go into compliance in general, like if you want to be like me and you don't want to take the normal litigation route and you want to go into compliance, just know that legal compliance is very broad. There's not only transformation, there's other legislative pieces or regulations that you can go into. There's health and safety. There's different industries that you can go into. There's the construction industry. There's the financial services sector. There's so many things that you can go into. So first and foremost, again, know who you are and then do research on, oh, I'm actually passionate about this. Actually, I'm interested in learning more about this industry or sector, and then search for opportunities in that space, because it now allows you to now narrow down your search. I actually saw a post the other day that said, do you know that these job posts actually make the title of the position so dramatic? But it could be like, it could be a skill that you already have that you don't know. But the way they put this post out, it just seems so dramatic, and it seems like, oh my gosh, what is transformation? When in fact you don't know that it's BEE legislation, or it's yeah, it's about BEE. So I would say just do your research and just like get away from the fluff in terms of narrowing down your search in terms of what you would want to do. If you would particularly like to go into the transformation space, I know that there are a lot of consulting firms. Go and research those firms, find out if there are job opportunities and what the training opportunities are in those firms, because it could be that you get given a opportunity like I was, where the firm is willing to literally start you from literally ground zero and give you the training in-house. There's also, do get the academic background. So there's the MDP in triple BE as well that you can do. So also just increase on your actual academic qualifications if you can. That gives you also that greater step into the door. So there's a lot of things that individuals can do, but I would say just like, please don't do this broad search. BEE jobs. No, because I mean, that is so broad. Narrow it down to what you want to do. If you want to work on a specific piece of legislation, like employment equity is very particularly related to the HR space. So find out what you can do in the HR space and then learn about employment equity. Then you have to take it from those steps, as opposed to doing these like broad searches, and then you struggle to find the opportunities because you're not narrowing down what your interests are and what you'd really like to do. But yeah, I would definitely encourage anybody to go into the transformation space. It is so rewarding. It is so rewarding.
So, what skill would you prioritize first if you were in their shoes?
What skill?
Yeah.
That is a very, very interesting one. What skill? I'm gonna go back to the shy people are poor people. So I would say, work on your communication skills. That could be working on your public speaking, work on speaking with more conviction, work with speaking with more confidence. Because again, in my job, what I've learned is that if you don't believe in what you're saying, how do you expect me to listen to what you're saying if you yourself don't believe in it? The reason that I can speak so confidently on transformation is because I'm passionate about it and I can speak with conviction on it. I would say just really go. I think there's these things that also they call Toastmasters, where you get to speak, where you get to like really practice your public speaking, work on your confidence. It is a skill, guys, because if you can't speak on a topic, or if you can't make a decision confidently, you're going to have a bit of, I think, a bit of struggles or a bit of challenges in the corporate space. Having a voice is very important. So I would definitely say that's a skill I would encourage. And again, coming from a shy person, just work on how you communicate effectively in the workplace. Teamwork, also very important. But I think, yeah, first and foremost, being secure and confident in yourself makes you a better team player. So I would say definitely, yeah, confidence, public speaking, work on those things, communication skills, emotional intelligence. emotional intelligence. We look at a lot of what individuals bring to work environments in terms of their education and their experience, but emotional intelligence plays a huge role in any business, in any employee's journey, be it an employee, employer, whatever you look at yourself as. So, yeah, work on those things.
So if we were to sit down again in 2 or 3 years, what would you hope we'd be celebrating about your growth personally and or personally?
Personally, can somebody's son please marry me out there? I really don't think I'm a bad girl. I think I'm okay. I think I'll be an okay wife. I'm hoping that we'll be celebrating my marriage personally. That really did come from a personal place because I really do hope that in a few years I'll be married. I'm getting old. I'm going to be turning 31 soon. So I'd really like to be married in a few years. And marriage is just like for me, just the definition of just settling down, being in a
Yeah.
home with my partner. Yeah, just financially stable. That's on a personal level. I confidently also want to say that I don't think I want kids. It's been a little bit difficult saying that as a female in social settings or even professionally. Just like when people are looking at you, you're getting older and you're not having kids. Well, yes, females are allowed to openly just communicate that that's not a want or a need for them. So yeah, marriage would be great. Professionally, I've always had this dream. I don't know, it sounds crazy. I've always had this dream of working for the UN. I don't know what position I would hold there, but doing some humanitarian work. So
Yeah.
yeah, some work with the UN. I don't know like what I'd be employed as, but something in the UN would be great. That has like been a dream. Like I think in my mind I would have made it in terms of my career development if I would have gotten just like any exposure, any opportunity to do some humanitarian work or some work with the UN. So that's like kind of my dream job. I don't know what that looks like for me, how I'd possibly get there. I've also thought of just going into diplomacy, so I'd love to be a diplomat as well. But I mean, for now, I'm just so focused on where I am right now. I'm really still very, very passionate about transformation. I do think it's going to be the key to get me to where I want to be one day with a lot of humanitarian work. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is becoming a big topic. Like this is globally now. Like transformation, BE compliance is definitely very South African based, but
Yeah.
diversity, equity, and inclusion is becoming big in terms of global operations. This is public and private sectors in the world, really. So I'm really looking to tapping into that. But what that looks like for me, I'm not really sure yet. So we'll see.
So I don't want to ask you why you don't want to have kids. I just want to ask, when you told your mom that she won't be getting any grandbabies, how did she feel about it? What was her
Not
reaction?
happy. Not happy at all. Not happy at all. She says actually, she says that's her worry is that she's getting old and my sister and I have not married and we have not given her kids and she would really, while she is still considers herself young, she's 60, she just turned 60. She considers herself young and she takes care of herself and she says she's taking care of herself in order to enjoy time with her grandkids and she's officially retired. She wants to really just spend some time with her grandkids and all of that. So I said, I don't think they'll be coming from me, my sister definitely. And we can just all take care of my sister's kids. But yeah, it was a little bit of a difficult sort of conversation to have. And it's really surrounding my fears in terms of being a parent. And I said to her, the biggest reason is I fear I wouldn't be as good of a parent as she was, especially being in her shoes as a single mom. And so
Yeah.
that's my fear, just not being as good of a parent as she was. And I lacked nothing. I don't struggle mentally or emotionally with any issues relating to not having my dad in my life because my mom played both roles so extremely well. So my fear is that if I were ever to be pushed into that space, I don't know if I would do as good of a job. Maybe my mind will change. You never know. But for now, it is a solid no. So we can just look forward to entertaining my sister's kids when she has
So
kids.
you want to be a rich aunt, Pilabi.
Exactly. I want to be able to be the rich auntie already with all my friends' kids. I'm the rich
Yeah.
auntie. I will go for the day, spoil the kids, go back to your parents. I've done my part. I've spent money on the kids. They are happy. I return them. I return to sender. But yeah, I really do enjoy that. Now, that role I enjoy so much. I really, and I love kids. Don't get me wrong. I love kids. I love being around kids. I'm good with kids. I just love the rich auntie vibe more than I think I'm going to enjoy being a mother. So, yeah.
So out of curiosity, what type of a gentleman are you looking for? Maybe he's listening.
Maybe he's listening. If you are listening, gentlemen out there that could possibly have a chance with me in the future, first and foremost, please have a job. Please, please. I'm asking very nicely. I have done the Bob the Builder thing where you are busy being this, being a supportive partner to somebody
Yeah.
that is hustling forever. I have done it. I'm done. I'm not saying that I don't want to build with somebody, and I'm not saying somebody must come to me being a millionaire, but I'm just asking for stability. Please, as much as I have put in the work to work on myself and try and get myself, and I'm not as stable as I want to be, I'll be honest, but I'm working towards it. I would just expect that the next person is doing the same. Just please work towards being a sustainable and stable individual, and please have some financial stability, and please, that looks like yeah, having a job. Please have a job or some sort of stream of income. So that's number one, stable source of
Yeah.
income. But yeah, outside of that, I don't have a type. My type is a kind person. I don't deal with, I really despise, dislike rude, mean people. So I would just like somebody that is kind more than anything. Outside of that, I think we can work with everything else once I get to know the person. But please just, yeah, have your own goals, work towards your own things, be just stable in where you are in your life. Don't come and waste my time because I wouldn't waste yours. If you know you're not ready for a relationship, don't start one. If you know you are emotionally unavailable, please leave other people's kids alone. You guys are causing us a lot of emotional damage out there. Yes. I'm speaking out now and saying we are tired of you guys wasting our time. But yeah, I think I've worked on myself. So I would just want somebody to come having worked on themselves as well. I'm not saying perfection. Don't want
Yeah.
anybody that's perfect because I'm not perfect. I'm struggling on a daily basis to get myself to, what is considered that stable place. But yeah, just be working on yourself, be a better person, and just be kind. Please, I just really can't deal with a narcissist or a person that is just rude for no reason. Yeah. So kindness first, then we'll deal with everything else later.
With that being said, Shannon, thank you uh, for coming to the show and sharing your story with us. I don't know if maybe there's any parting words you want to share with the people.
I would say to you, Tepiso, this platform is very important because a lot of people don't have the opportunity to have proper structured mentorship in their lives. I think this platform allows people to see what is possible out there. Like just hearing Shannon speak, maybe you know that, oh my gosh, she did it, so can I. Or, oh my gosh, she has everything she set out has basically come to life because it is possible. I think what a lot of young people are looking for is just knowing that it is possible, knowing that they are no different to the next person. Again, looking at a millionaire and looking at myself, I see no difference in that person because if it is possible for that person, then it is possible for me. So I think just continue doing what you're doing because your platform is so important in that it encourages, I would say, examples of what is out there, what to look forward to in life, what is possible. Shannon is no different to the next young girl. So I think it's very encouraging to leave people with that hope in that, especially when it comes to this career sort of development aspect of life. We are all working towards something and it's not easy for any of us, but we need examples. We need to know that it is possible. And I think your platform encourages that. I've read a lot In fact, majority of the articles and the interviews that you do with people, I read a lot of them and I'm inspired by them, like the females in tech. A lot of the people that are doing jobs that you didn't know even existed, and they tell you about what their day-to-day jobs are. And you're just like, that could inspire a young kid that thinks she's only heard about certain career paths. And now you're hearing about somebody that's maybe in forensics or whatever the case may be, or hearing about more women in tech. I think that's like been a recurring theme. So I think I just want to encourage you to continue, because it really does place hope in a lot of people for whatever the future lies, for whatever lies in terms of the future. So just continue.
I never thought of it that way, so it means a lot. Thank you. Thank you, Shannon, for your time. I think this brings us to the end. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.